Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road and welcome to another video on my channel. Today I'm going to be making a Breast Cancer Awareness Month encouragement card, and I'm going to be using stamps and dies from Creekbank Creations and paper from Craft a Clock and adhesives from Xyron. I love this card so much. It's beautiful, it's encouraging, it's fun to make, and it's really pretty easy too. So I'm going to go through step-by-steps with you, and you can follow along. I also have some links on my blog and close-up photos, so you can check that out maybe later on. But let's get started right now. I'm going to use the boxing gloves die from Creekbank Creations and the Cancer Awareness Stamp Set also from Creekbank Creations, and this Gatefold Card Die. It makes everything really easy. The Summertime Picnic paper collection from Craft a Clock, and I'm just in love with their papers. These are extras to cut, which you physically cut out by hand, fussy cut, and envelopes to cut, which I didn't end up using. I did use, though, some of these dies from their die set and quotes. Look at these beautiful quotes. They've got sister, mother, cousin. Some of the Project Life cards that they include. They have a few sheets in each pack of Project Life cards, and they all come pre-cut. Well, not pre-cut, but 6x12, and then you can cut them smaller. So I actually use that sheet as the card base. The die itself comes with several dies in the set, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dies. The largest of which is going to cut the shape of your paper. For a minute, I thought maybe I'd use different paper. I really love that wood paper on the back and thought maybe I wanted that as my card base. But then I thought, no, because I knew what I wanted the card to look like on the outside, and maybe if I used a little bit more of a neutral card base, then I could use that wood and those other decorations to sort of enhance the look of the card. Now you are going to need your extended platform on your die cutting machine. The die itself fits the 6x12 piece of paper. So if you don't have the extended platform, the die is not even going to fit on your platform. It's too big. So just a note there that you're going to need that extended platform. And the die cuts, and it cuts the top and then gives these score lines, which makes making the card itself literally a no-brainer. Literally, it's simple. So you just you literally just fold it then right on the score lines. Now you do have to kind of take a minute and think in your mind of what you want the card to look like from the front and the back. But I will say that this is the prime time to use beautiful double-sided paper is with this kind of card, because it really showcases the designs on both sides. Sometimes, when you go to use projects or do projects with double-sided paper, sometimes you end up hiding some of the beautiful prints on one side to showcase the other side, but this really showcases both sides. And you can use those triangle cutouts elsewhere on the project or save them for another project if you want. So now what I'm going to do is use the other dies. They're angled panels specially designed to fit on the areas of the card. Now you do have to, did you see what I did? I held it against one side and flipped it against the other side. So my advice is to cut the panels, these panels with these angled dies, literally one at a time. Don't try to just cut them all at once, and be quick about it. Just this is the time where you need to spend on the base. I knew that I wanted those flowers in the upper corner of that panel. So I laid it on the front, looking at the print, and die cut it through. And now when I hold it up against the card base, now I can see what it looks like. Okay. Now, to get the angle, though, to go on the other side, I have to flip the paper over and cut the die. The die only cuts one way. So if you want the angle to go the opposite direction, you have to flip the paper. You can't flip the die because it won't cut. So you have to be a little bit creative and look at the design, and then remember in your mind to flip the paper over and cut it from the back side, because then the angle will be correct. See how I flipped it, but I didn't want the wood side anyway. I wanted that side. It takes a little bit of practice. It might be helpful to do like just a practice set first when you first get the die. I love this wood paper. I can't even stand it, how much I love it. And so the die set also comes with it's like a square scallop panel type die. And there's two dies that go with it. One is the base, and then one is like a inlay, I guess. So that's going to be the base. And I'm going to use my Xyron Creative Station Lite for my adhesive for the whole entire project. If you haven't seen the Creative Station Lite before by Xyron, or you haven't heard of Xyron before, basically whatever you run through the machine, Xyron creates it into a sticker. So with just one little crank, now I've got, now these pieces are stickers. It makes life really, really easy. Especially because there's a lot to do in this set, and it's gonna be much quicker. I did totally mess up though. Look right here. I was even so careful about it, measuring and trying to get it all straight. And here I had it on the wrong side of the card because I went to fold it and I was like, oh no. So I grabbed my UnDu adhesive remover. It's a liquid and it pulled right up. Now, I am here to tell you that Xyron is sticky. So you can't just pull it up just by itself. It will rip the paper guaranteed. But with a little bit of that UnDu, you can rip it up just fine. And rip was not the right word. It just pulls right up. It even becomes sticky again, which is why I put that release paper back there, because it was sticky again immediately. So I knew that there was going to be another piece that went there eventually. So I didn't worry too much about it. But to be honest, I actually almost cut this out of the video because I tend to I don't know. I didn't want it to look like I messed up. Even though we all mess up, this part I kind of wanted to leave out. But then I thought, no, it's okay, because that's probably a realistic thing that would happen with the Xyron or with the die or with the paper. Honestly, that just happens. So I left it in. Plus, you can see how the UnDu works, actually. So I'm just continuing with the cutting. Oh, I'm actually cutting the panel that I wanted to go in that spot. That's what's happening right here. And I'm using the wood part. And I did give it a quick run through, even though it was sticky right there where I had pulled it up in the first place. On the card base, I gave it a quick run through anyway. There. And so now that mess up, quote unquote mess up, is covered up and no one will ever know. And that is just a little adhesive remover. It's like a little square, it just gets rid of some of the gumminess that sometimes you get when you use like a dry adhesive instead of a wet glue. So I'm just continuing the process, just using the dies that come with the set and adding the panels. And it is so fun. Now would probably be the good time to mention, oh no, here, this is what I wanted to show you, is how the angle works. So this die is a perfect example to show you. Now I'm going to cut it. I want that pink and green side with the polka dots. That side right there is going to be on the part we see. So on the one side, I'm going to have to cut it like that. And that'll fit right there. Now to cut the other side though, I have to flip the paper over and use the same die, but use it by cutting it on the back of the paper. If I tried to cut another piece, it'd be shaped the same way, you see, unless I flip the paper over. And now it fits on the other side. So hopefully I hope you understand what I was trying to say. Sometimes I don't say things clearly what I think them in my head. But the angle would never be right unless you flip the paper over on the back. I suppose they could have done it a bunch of different ways. They could have included additional dies, but I think that's smart on their part to just include the two dies. And then, if we're smart enough to figure it out, we're smart people. Look at all the stuff we make. This card is actually sized as an A2 size card when it's all complete. So I didn't know if you knew that, but when you fold up the Gatefold card, all done. Yeah, it's A2 size, fits in an A2 size envelope. A2 is 4¼ by 5½. And so I am cutting a regular card panel just like I would in any other card. Although I am cutting it a little bit smaller maybe than I would, just because I wanted to leave more of that paper exposed. Now, here I was talking about how smart we are, and then I did something a little bit dumb, because what I should have done is waited to adhere this to the card base, because I end up doing stamping on it, and I should have waited. But I got so excited. It's fun to use the Xyron. Actually, I like using that little crank, and it's fun to see the card come together, the card base come together. It's just beautiful. That is right where I want that panel to go. But here's the thing, is for it to open, for the card to open, I have to only have half adhesive on half of it. So I'm going to draw a little pencil line. And in my dream world, what I wanted to do is like mask off half of it. And then I was struggling with this washi tape is what was happening. But I wanted to be able to mask it off and run it through the Xyron just like I would anything else, because that Xyron is so strong. So I thought, well, I could still do it. See how only half of it needs to have adhesive on it. So if I mask off the other half, it should work. I do have to take some time though, because this release paper is it's just regular release paper from the other Xyron panels. So I did trim off a little bit. And now when I run it through, it should only get adhesive on that one half. And it did. I'm happy with the way that was, but I'm going to leave it sit like that until I'm ready to stick it. There, I almost stuck it. And then I thought, now wait a second, I got to be mindful here of what I'm trying to do. So now I'm going to get to the stamping, and I am going to use the sentiment that says, in this fight, I'm betting on you. And I'm using my Tim Holtz stamping platform. I was really trying to figure out a way to finagle this in there. And this was the time that I was like, dang it, I should have just left the panel off. But it's fine. The stamping platform really, really makes life easy. So I wasn't too worried about it. And I did take the little top part off to ink it. And I'm so sorry about the glare of the light right there where I'm inking. I did not pay attention to that, and I probably could have done that better. But the ink that I'm using is Archival ink by Ranger, and it is in coffee. What Craft O'Clock does with their paper is on the bottom of each sheet of paper, they put a little color palette, little tiny squares of all the colors in the paper collection. So it's really, really easy to match inks and other papers and cardstocks with it. You can just look right there at the color palette. And then I am using a Stampin' Up! Ink for the ribbon in Pixie Pink. It was just perfect. Perfect. Just perfect. Yeah, really, really good. I love it. Love it, love it. As a general preference, I personally love pink and brown together. Absolutely love pink and brown. Okay, now here is a fun technique. This is actually not my idea. This is a piece of just regular copy paper, like printer paper from my printer. And I'm using the 3-inch cartridge in the Xyron. The one I had would have been fine, but I ran out. So, okay, you run it through and you kind of have to give it a little bit of help because it's so thin. Now you've got a sticky stick on one side. I'm going to trim it down a little bit and run it through again upside down. So I'm going to get a sticky stick on the other side as well. So think about it. You've got a sticky, and then you've got the copy paper, and then you've got another sticky, right? Now, again, like I said, this is not my idea. It's actually from Julie Creek from Creek Bank Creations. She does this all the time, and she actually makes some of her dies, this one in particular, to use with this technique. Okay, then when you die cut out, this is the boxing gloves, the solid die, okay? And I'm going to leave that right there. That's the solid one. Now with the cutout one and the little score lines, I'm going to use a piece of coordinating paper, cardstock in this pink color. I'm going to trim it down just a little bit and run this through. Now it gives little tiny score lines, tiny, just for detail and indentation, and it looks really good. Now the goal would be then to, oh, here I am about to get this panel. So we'll take a break from that little technique. I think I was trying to get all the die cutting out of the way because I really wanted to move my machine. I wanted the little, this certain color to go with the inside panel. So yeah, I think I was just trying to do all my die cutting at the same time. We'll get back to that boxing gloves technique in just a second. I love this paper so much. I mean, I do a lot of mixed media and stuff too, and I like how this paper looks like a mixed media piece. You don't even have to do a lot of stuff with it. It's pretty on its own. So here is the fun part. You take all the little pieces out of the little boxing gloves, and there you can see the little indents, just barely. Now you've got the solid shape, and you take all the little pieces out there. Now remember, the white boxing gloves, they're sticky on both sides, okay, but it's still got the release paper on them. So we can work with them, and the goal is to stick the pink cardstock on top of the sticky gloves. And it would be really hard to do because, you know, once you stick it on there, it's stuck. So what we're going to do is take some of that UnDu and wet the stickiness, and it will make it temporarily unsticky just for a few minutes, and that liquid will evaporate. And when it becomes sticky again, you've got them stuck together. And just to give you an idea of how long that takes, you'll see that when I pressed it, it was sticky already, right through. Because the white part on the gloves, remember, is the sticky part showing through the hole. Now I'm using a little bit more UnDu to take the washi tape off of the paper panel there, because I really did not want to rip the paper. And then running that panel through. And I'm doing it in these steps because I really wanted that UnDu to dry off the gloves before I did anything else with them. Got that panel right off and stuck it to the base panel. So nice. Now, before I stick the gloves there, I'm going to use this Pixie puffer, and it's got a little arm, and I'm going to put this inside just a tray, and it puffs air, but it also holds a super fine pixie dust glitter. And when you puff it onto that sticky area, then you've got glitter that sticks only to those exposed white areas. I don't know if you can see it real well. The shimmer, it's real subtle and delicate right there, there, and there. Isn't that beautiful? Now we can peel off the release paper off the back because it's sticky on both sides, and we stick it right to the panel, and it is there. And then we take that panel off the back and we stick it right where we want it. And because we only have half the adhesive, it sticks to half the card. Oh my goodness, it's perfect. Now, there is a little part of adhesive exposed right there, and for a split second I thought maybe I was going to put a panel on the back, but I thought no, because I like the pink. I like when it's open like that, how that looks. You can see it's just a little bit, and I thought, well, it'll be easiest to just put a little UnDu and rub off that adhesive with my finger. Once it dries, it will be like adhesive was never there in the first place, and yet it's still stuck to the card where I want it. And that's it. That is it. I erased my pencil line and used the adhesive remover square to clean up any little gumminess that is left around, but that happens, you know. And I love this project. It was really, really fun to do. It was really fun to do. Just this card, just as a card base without even the extra embellishments, I think it looks great the way it is. Look at that. So nice. Now I did add some embellishments, and I will show you how it looks when it's all finished. Look at that. Oh, I love it. So I added some ribbon and fibers to not only hold it together, but as an embellishment as well. And you could just slide that off the bottom instead of trying to untie. And I've got a die there and a quote there. Love the way that looks. And when you open it, the paper is beautiful on its own, but I did add also some of the leaves from the extras to cut. And I added a rose behind the die with two little bears. Look, because they're support. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness. I love the strength of the boxing gloves and the delicate pink of the paper. I love the supportive little bears. It is just, I love it. I love it. What a great die and die set. And it's pretty versatile too, actually. I made another card with the same set, but gave it a little bit of a different feel. This one has more of a military feel, and just used another stamp from the same set, Keep Swinging. But you can customize, I mean, the panels just however you want. Definitely without the glitter. Don't send glitter to someone in the military. That is a no-no in the mail and with their policies. So, but yeah, really versatile die set. Love it so much. And I am so happy to be a part of these 3 companies. Really, really high quality products. Links are below in the description box where you can find all of these products. And thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you also to the stamps and dies that were sponsored by Creek Bank Creations. Really, really nice. And the Xyron Makers Program sponsored the Xyron Creative Station and the cartridges. And thanks so much to Craft O'Clock for sponsoring the paper. And I'm so happy to be part of their YouTube Ambassador Program. So thanks again for stopping by. Check out sandpaperroad.com, the blog for close-ups, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.